Good morning. Today we celebrate the life of Therese of the Child Jesus. She was born in France in 1873 and died in 1897 at the age of 24. Therese was the last of 9 children born to her remarkable parents, Louis and Zélie Martin. 4 of their children died at very young ages. All 5 of the remaining children became nuns. Her mother died of cancer when Therese was only 4 years old, an event that led Therese into a period of long despair. She lost her happy disposition and became oversensitive, crying at the least provocation. Fortunately, this great loss drew her much closer in her relationship with her father, whose love and affection for her knew no bounds. At the tender age of 14, Therese followed her sisters in seeking to enter into religious life. When her application was delayed, she went on a pilgrimage to Rome. In an audience with Pope Leo XIII, ignoring the warning that they were absolutely forbidden to speak, she blurted out, "Holy Father, I have a great favor to ask. To mark your jubilee, allow me to enter Carmel at age 15. Although the Pope did not immediately grant her request, she did enter the Lisieux Carmel Convent in 1888 at the age of 15. Therese had a keen sense that God Himself longs for our love. Many people either refuse to give it to Him or do not realize how intensely He desires it. Although she had certain experiences of God when she was a child, including a mystical union with God at the time of her first Holy Communion at age 11, God adopted a posture of utter silence toward Therese after she entered the convent. She wrote in a letter to her sister Marie, "Do not imagine that I am overwhelmed with consolations. I am not. Jesus never manifests Himself to me, nor lets me hear His voice. Jesus does not want us to serve Him for His gifts," she insisted. "It is He Himself who must be our reward." Therese suffered through what is known as the dark night of the soul during the last 1.5 years of her life. She lamented, "Jesus allowed pitch-black darkness to sweep over my soul, and let the thought of heaven, so sweet to me from my infancy, destroy all my peace and to torture me." At the same time, she began a long, agonizing physical decline that led to unimaginable suffering. "Never would I have believed it was possible to suffer so much. Never, never," she cried. Her thirst for souls, for the conversion of sinners, was the only explanation that she could give for her suffering. Therese triumphed in a courageous display of self-control and complete submission to the will of God. Stripped of all solace, she realized that in the end, she simply had to trust in God. She said, "My agony may reach the furthest limits, but I am convinced that He will never forsake me." Her autobiography, The Story of a Soul, was published a year after her death and swept the world. In it she wrote, "If God answers my desires, my heaven will be spent doing good on earth until the end of the world." It seems clear that God fulfilled her request, as within a few years reports of miracles attributed to her intercession began to flood into Rome. She was canonized in 1925, only 28 years after her death. Let us too thirst for souls, as did Therese. Amen.